E-commerce is escalating due to the flexible approaches and snowballing profits with stability. Talking Point is connecting with the founder and the chairman of Kapruka.com, Mr. Dulith Herath. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Commencing an e-commerce store is certainly not an easy feat. How should the profitability be strategized?
That's a good question. Now, something that a lot of e-commerce enterprises, even globally, does overlook is the profitability, and they just want to grow. So Kapruka always took a different approach. We were focused on the profitability of the organization from day one. I'll probably mention three primary reasons how we made it profitable. One is, be very service oriented than having a huge range of products. So imagine you have 1 million products at a very discounted rate, but you don't know what you're selling, versus you have 500,000 products, very focused, you know the categories, you know these are original products, you know all that, and you have 24-hour delivery, and you focus on the service, then you get out of the price war. You can demand the right price for the right product because the service is good. You don't need to compromise it. But if your service is bad and you just have a range of products, most of the e-commerce companies can end up just giving the discount. So that's one reason. I said three. So the second is to stay out of categories that will not give you enough margins. Right? I mean, that's why, for example, electronics, maybe, Kapruka has always been very shy of, selling mobile phones and things like that, because they're extremely competitive, and, to make 100 rupee profit, going through that kind of inventory and taking the warranty risk and all that did not make sense. So even though it's very, very tempting, being an e-commerce guy, you want to have all the categories you want, right? It's very tempting, but we had the discipline to stay out of it, just to make sure that it stays profitable. And the third is, I think, being very diversified. If you are only selling products, apples, with a margin of 30%, you are a very monotonous business of pure e-commerce. But what if you're into services, right? You can even, get a house listed on Kapruka, you can get your horoscope read on Kapruka, extremely different types of stuff that we want to do. Unimaginable stuff but which you cannot generally do without the internet. We plug it in, and so it's so diversified. If something is not delivering profits here, something else is delivering profits. That's why we got into grasshoppers. We are into logistics of e-commerce, right? That's why we are into something called cross-border Kapruka, where we sell Sri Lankan brands on Amazon in the US, Amazon in the UK, etc. So it's very different things. So diversify yourself. Again, to summarize, give a good service, a good set of products, so you don't have to get into the price war. And the second is, be very, third is actually to be very diversified, which I just mentioned. And the second was to be very narrow on, be on less profitable products. Get rid of them and just sell the ones that you think that you can.
That is why I think it's like a household name now, which says Kapruka.com, but today you'll stand as Kapruka Holdings PLC,
right?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate a bit about this success as well?
I think it's a must at Colombo Stock Exchange that you have to be profitable to be listed. So that's the first checkbox. So
main requirement.
So it's a main requirement. So that covers your question.
Of course.
Altogether.
And also, I just wanted to inquire, you beautifully strategized three important segments, which was very easily segmented into three categories for anybody.
Ways of thinking.
Three dimensions, rather. So how, by any chance, if anybody who wants to get into this industry as a newcomer, as a new entrepreneur who wants to set up this e-commerce platform, is there any avenue which they have to think out of the box, probably to get more innovative, to attract more customers?
So it's I don't think there's any rocket science to it. It depends on whether this entrepreneur wants to build an e-commerce enterprise where you are selling thousands of products, or he has 5 products that that he thinks can really sell thousands online, versus having to go after and beg for a retail chain to carry the product. Let's say you have a herbal item. So your chance of getting it listed in one of the supermarket chains, you are really at their mercy, right? You have to go, you have to beg for them a time, get that meeting, give them maybe 1 year credit, all that, and get some shelf corner in the supermarket to push your product. Now look at the opportunity he has, right? He has all these platforms that he can, including Facebook Marketplace, right? And he can immediately test his product and find that niche and really go at it in a very short time. So it's since I do this Grasshoppers, which is like a logistics company for e-commerce, the small players, we have thousands of such sellers who are just 2 or 3 people households that are working out of their bedrooms or like some small garages, who are doing hundreds of orders a day. Okay, so it's just 3 people doing 300 orders a day, and look at the opportunity they got. Would they have had the opportunity 10 years ago if not for e-commerce? So the future is very bright for upcoming e-commerce entrepreneurs.
The impact of e-commerce industry is beyond and escalating, rippling from small businesses to global enterprises. What sort of an influence has it been so far for our island nation?
Are you thinking along the lines of our economic crisis that we had, or?
Somewhat yes. And also maybe how small medium enterprises of Sri Lanka can see themselves in this platform.
Right. So we are a country that went to zero recently, right? So the economy really contracted. I know the whole global economy contracted, but I think it contracted by 10 times. It contracted by 100 times. So when something contracts, it also creates opportunities because it's going to grow back. Because once you're at zero, only way is up, right? So I think the opportunity I see is the mindset and the willpower of local entrepreneurs. If their mindset of the local entrepreneur is that, okay, we are stuck and this is only going to get worse, we need to jump the ship, that etc. Even their existing businesses will naturally shrink, and even their existing staff and their teams will leave, and this whole depression will go even deeper. But if that same entrepreneur thinks, oh look, all the coffee shops have closed, maybe I should start a chain of coffee shops.
Sure.
And go into that mindset, that the entrepreneur will start to blossom because the economy has contracted. So now it's expanding. We can already see that. It's not further contracting, right? It's right now going up. This is the time the entrepreneur should okay, it's now or never kind of a scenario. Just like the stock market. Like when the stock is going up, everybody creates a bull run. So we need to create a bull run of entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. I think this is the best time to do it.
Maybe we don't have to name a particular market or an industry, but then again, do you still see potential for small business enterprises to come and explore this e-commerce platform?
Of course, as I earlier said, you don't need to have thousands of products to sell. You just need to have a few that is good and that belongs to you, the brand that belongs to you, and there are multiple ways to sell. And as I again earlier said, you don't need to go after retail markets anymore. You can do this from home. All you need is a laptop and a phone to take the picture and your willpower to get it started. And I'll guarantee you, once you hit like a number like 50 orders a day.
My question was, Mr. Herath, whether there is still a market, for example, agriculture or cosmetics, in that perspective. Is there still an opening where the Sri Lankan small business enterprises have not got into this market pathway, where they have not looked into it seriously on an e-commerce platform?
Yeah, so I'm still I'm on the same path of your question. If you take a cosmetic product, let's say a homemade cosmetic product, a small business entrepreneur, the chances that they have today is very unique. And the only chance actually they have, if you are a cosmetic entrepreneur who makes let's say a coconut face balm, your only way, unless you have a lot of money to put up showrooms, is what? Yeah.
The most profitable, solid platform.
No, it's Instagram, from Facebook to the other platforms like Kapruka, etc., to sell it online. The keyword is online, right? So it's a no-brainer.
The e-commerce has basically expanded brands' reach and positively impacting organizations' bottom lines. Regarding the retailers who have been slow to embrace this online marketplace, what are they missing out in your perspective?
They're missing the bus.
Simple as that.
Yeah, it's actually less common in other countries than in Sri Lanka. I'm seeing a huge missing bus scenario here, where a lot of retailers are like existing, few generations old, established retailers who are still fighting day-to-day fires and trying to survive their normal brick and mortar business and completely ignoring e-commerce. And I've also seen them, spending maybe 1% of their budgets into e-commerce and just to feel good, like, yeah, we have a website, etc. So I can name hundreds of brands that are top of your mind if you want to go to that shop and buy, let's say, clothing. I can name a lot of brands that you will think about, okay, I'll go to this shop to buy clothing. But then there are a set of other brands, clothing again, they also have a shop, but your first thought is, no, I'm going to check it out, but let me see what they have. So unless you do this shift from existing from it can be a grocery store, it can be a pharmacy, it can be all kind of things, unless they shift their existing retail business to e-commerce, your business will most likely not last for your children to run. It'll probably be all right for your generation, you'll be all right and you might shut it down and retire. But if you're trying to create something that's going to last another, multiple decades, it's a no-brainer. And this is not about, I have some stuff, but it's also listed on Uber Eats. Right? That anybody can do. I'm not talking about that.
Sure.
That's also kind of an excuse a lot of people have. I really like I'll take an example of, let's say, Pizza Hut or Chinese Dragon. Right? They have their own delivery network. But they could have done all this on Uber Eats. They could have easily listed something on Uber Eats and not worried about setting up their website and not worried about having their own rider network. It's a lot of hassle, but they did that, right? So when you're ordering a pizza today, you are like, Uber Eats, it's a little expensive, let me call them direct, still the same service. So that's the kind of mentality I think all retailers should have, not depend on some external network, do your own e-commerce as well. So that's the answer.
But just getting into this industry a little bit more in depth, there seems to be certain enterprises where they feel comfortable being out of this so-called e-commerce platform. What sort of a marketing strategy would you like to suggest to organizations of that caliber to get into the new trend?
Marketing strategy is to give up your ego on it. Because I think back of your mind, you know that you need to do this. Another marketing strategy is for maybe the board of that company should have a younger generation coming in, and maybe the older generation step out, because those guys who come in will drive it towards that direction. If I tell you marketing strategy, the typical marketing strategies, it won't work for this problem. But it's a mindset shift that we need.
Of course, yes. And we do see quite a lot of statistics since lately that many people have become online shoppers. It is a healthy sign for the e-commerce industry, of course. So, but still, we are pretty slow when we compare ourselves with the rest of the other multi-billion-odd companies and countries worldwide, isn't it? Why is this?
That's because of lack of investment. Even if you take like a massive country like India, if you look at their growth in e-commerce, it was at a 1% of retail for a very long time, and then suddenly it became 3%, suddenly it became 7%, now it started skyrocketing. But if you pinpoint and see what happened when you make that 1% to 3%, it was because like companies like Amazon came in and invested. Like companies like their own like Flipkart, etc., they invested serious money into it. So if also Sri Lanka, business, larger businesses put in serious money into it, it's going to blossom up.
It's undeniable that modern e-commerce is increasingly flexible today. However, not being face-to-face, it is challenging to understand the wants, the needs and the concerns of e-commerce customers. you have set this platform, definitely an industry expertise in this stream of e-commerce, of course. So, Mr. Herath, could you kindly tell us your viewpoint as to this entire platform being in this caliber?
You mean face-to-face problem? That
Majorly.
Okay.
And requiring the needs of the customer.
Yeah, so if you are really focused on, we are used to, our age people especially used to going and holding something, trying out something and then making a buying decision, versus now this new paradigm shift of, so it's the next generation is going to be born with that habit, right? Even if you go back a few industries, hundreds of years back, there are segments where we have complete paradigm shifts of how people shop. There were no supermarkets before, it was just the grocery shops, now it became supermarkets, that itself was a shift like that. The new generation would not bother about it. I mean, it used to be a time where you will want to go and check a hotel room, go into the room, check it out, come back to the lobby, pay for that room. Now it's booking.com, right? You have no idea until you're actually there how it is. It's all based on reviews, and you make a digital decision on that, right? So there was a day that you will not want a stranger tuk-tuk to come to your house, pick you up, and go and drop to your location that you give. But now you are comfortable, a complete stranger tuk-tuk comes to your house, he knows your phone number, he knows where you live, he knows where you're going, all that, because you trust the platform, right? So it's not face-to-face anymore. I gave you a non-e-commerce example, I mean not direct e-commerce examples. So it's becoming more, this face-to-face problem is no longer there. It used to be there maybe 5 years ago when people are new to e-commerce, but now when they order black shoes size 9, you're going to get black shoes size 9. It's not like you're going to open it and find something else. That we have matured, the industry has matured about that. Now it's about, am I going to get it on time? Can I return it if I don't like it? That kind of stuff. Is it a genuine brand? All that kind of stuff is only left. So, which is this face-to-face problem is going away.
So, Mr. Herath, looking at this example that you shared with me, with a clientele based in Sri Lanka, and we are still very reluctant to go ahead with certain organizations purely of certain reputation and so on. So that is where I think organizations such as yours, you all have been very much in the industry as people who have been innovative introducers of this so-called platform. So don't you think that small medium enterprises trying to set foot into this industry as an e-commerce platform, the reliability will be a bit of an issue for a Sri Lankan shopper?
True, but we also started from zero, right? If you look at our roots, I also had no reliability. It was nobody's brand sometime back. You have to build it from ground up. So I don't think any brand can suddenly jump up to 100 tomorrow morning and say, okay, you better know about us and you better buy from us. So it is a gradual process. And I can name, especially clothing industry in Sri Lanka, I don't want to name brands, but I'm sure the audience will also remember certain new brands that has come in very recently, within maybe 2 years, and already established themselves in your head as top of mind for a certain type of clothing. So it's about that entrepreneur putting serious efforts into establishing the brand in the shortest possible time.
And maintaining ethics.
And maintaining the quality and maintaining so many things. Branding is a whole different subject.
It's a massive chain of operation.
And it's also sometimes the person behind it, that one person, the entrepreneur who really takes that brand at home in his briefcase, comes back with it. It's like his phone, right? It's always with him. So brand building is something that the entrepreneur has to do. You can't just buy it from a shop or with money.
Certainly, yes. And I think we have got into so many insights when it comes to the e-commerce industry, because very interesting platform, an area of concern, especially for small business enterprises to come out and do sell their product through this platform, which is going to bring in more profits with assurance. Thank you so much for connecting with Talking Point, Mr. Dulith Herath.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.